because you killed him out. You know, like, you get a lot of weird reactions.
About the time when they learned the Santa's spoiler.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Archive.
What up, everybody?
Gang.
We are on 26, archive number 26, and we got Zach Brown. Do you remember that, or were you too drunk?
Zach Brown Band?
No, do you remember at the show and you're like, my name's Zach Brown?
With that, yeah.
Oh my god.
You did that on me, man.
Yeah, Chris was like, the band?
But the thing is, I'm obsessed with Zach Brown Band. I love Zach Brown Band.
So when you said that, you creamed.
No, it's like an ongoing thing between my friend Dalton and I, because he used to have to hide his Facebook from his mom, and his last name was actually Brown. So he would change his last name to Blue, and every now and then I would just change my last name to Brown, Blue, whatever.
Oh,
just
yeah.
mess with him. But
Look at that. There's a backstory. I just thought you were...
I think I asked you, but do you like Zach Brown?
I can't say I have anything notable
Gotcha.
that I know about Zach Brown.
yeah.
No, he sucks.
So Zach is pretty much the god of graphic design in Nashville.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're going hard.
Big.
Micro gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. A god.
Nah.
God's in the name, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
But-
more to that, but we don't have to
Yeah,
jump
we'll
right into
definitely,
that.
we'll get into
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
We'll set this down
So
very
you just have worked with a ton of people around here, and I swear your name has been brought up multiple times through like our episodes.
Oh,
Just
that's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville's home base. I mean, I've been doing design work here since I was like 15 or so. I was in bands back in the day, and like kind of like started off by like doing designs for my bands, but then that kind of escalated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go into it. Go into like how you got into graphic design and the lead up to going to Nashville Arts.
Nashville School of the Arts.
Yeah.
It was high school. So it was like, I went there for my sophomore year before I ended up moving to New York. But I started in graphic design when I was like 14 or so. Always did like paintings and drawings and things like that. But I was in this really shitty garage band when I was like 14 or 15, as we all like start.
Yeah.
And I was playing drums for the band, and we needed like just merch. We needed to be able to get our name out there.
Yeah.
And so I drew something up and threw it into Photoshop. I'd actually gotten this disc when I was like 9 or 10 from this person from my old church growing up. And it was like Photoshop, like CS2 or something like that. Like some of the OG shit. And they had I ended up taking that and just practicing and playing around on it, kind of building up from there. And then I was like, well, I'm going to make a shirt design for my band. And kind of just rolled on from that
That's
point.
crazy. So young to get into it. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird how you start doing something for your band and you're like, oh, I can kind of do this outside as well. Do it for other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, when you created the design, how did you, like, what was your steps from there? Like getting it printed and...
I mean, like from the very beginning process, almost everything was hand drawn. And so I would just like take a drawing and then put it in ink so I could get like a black to white background, and then take that into Photoshop and then color it from that point. When it came to printing at that point in time, I would go to like Target or Walmart or whatever and buy those iron-on sheets, and then just like piece like 3 or 4 of them together on a shirt so I could get a full front shirt design.
Dang. So you did like the printing yourself pretty much at like...
It was like iron-ons that were really poorly pieced together, and so none of the shirts were consistent. it was really bad. But I eventually, like, through, like, working in design jobs and, like, doing stuff myself, learned how to do, like, full screen print separations and kind of...
Yeah.
Wow, that's a different world.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, other things. It all kind of rolls in once you realize the demand for what that position needs to do. But, yeah.
Yeah. So School of the Arts was in high school?
Yeah. That was
it
like a
separate or like a class that you just took during high school, or was it like its own?
I never took graphic design in school. Nashville School of the Arts is a very like broad school when it comes to like all forms of arts. I mean, they have dance, music, like every form of musician can go there and thrive in their instrument. I got into the school for visual arts. So it's kind of like a magnet school, but like has somewhat of like a college-based like art curriculum for what you're doing. They just give you like the next level of like what you're good at. And I like focused on painting and sculpting and like a lot of like the visual arts, and I had like some art history classes that, you know, and rather than having like a standard history class in high school, they gave us like art history and kind of just gave us a background.
That's cool. So it's like specialized, like how school should be.
Sounds badass.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, it was everyone there was like so like free spirited and like within following like their like passion.
Yeah.
And it was great to just be around so many people that were so like
that's nuts. And like just the high school level too, to be able to do that, because we had like a whole podcast talking about just
the system's fucked up.
Yeah, but that's exactly how I feel like it should be.
And it's like it was like called a magnet school, so you had to apply to get in there. And so like pretty much anyone could get in there and they could apply, and like with what you guys do, like being musicians, but also when it comes to like the digital arts, they have a mass media program, and so you could get in and kind of learn about like visual marketing and like videography, photography, and things of that nature, and how you could apply that into like a more creative kind of field.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What's the age cutoff? Can I still go there?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So after that, where did you go? What did you do?
I ended up moving to New York. My mom got married, and I ended up going with her because I lived with her as my full-time parent. And I went to New York and lived there for about 6 years, off and on. I would come back every now and then. My brother lived here. My dad lives here. So I would come and stay with them. And I just kind of built connections in both places. And I was doing designs for bands in New York. And that's actually where I got some of my first, like, real commissions to do like t-shirt designs and album covers and things of that nature. I was able to connect with the scene there, and just by going to shows and talking to people. Like it was such a welcoming community of people up there. I mean, you think of New York as like these like hard-edged people who are very like
New York hardcore. Yeah.
But
hardcore.
I mean, the culture there is very accepting as long as you're just straightforward about who you are and what you do, and like it's kind of just embraced.
Yeah.
That's fine. What part of New York is this?
Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie, okay.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. I was probably like 5 hours away from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. We're from?
Upstate New York, like Syracuse.
Oh yeah. That's where.
Middle
like,
of nowhere though. No scene.
Isn't like Harvard up there? Yeah, that's Massachusetts, I think.
Colgate.
Okay.
Like the toothpaste?
Yes.
It's probably where it was made.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
That's wild though.
Yeah, so when did you move back here? Like what year?
Full-time
move back.
I was 21 when I moved back, so
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then Micro Gods was formed in May of 2016.
Yes.
Yeah, May 9th.
Yeah, so that's actually the year that I came back from New York. I developed the idea in New York. I was kind of just looking to put my own designs on some kind of merchandise, and I wasn't really sure of how to do it. I wanted to create a brand, but at the same time, that wasn't the intention there. I just wanted to have like tattoo designs on a shirt because I thought that was cool, and I was like, I want to wear that.
Hell yeah.
So I ended up just doing that, and it got outrageous support. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. That's what, like I said, it's everywhere out here, and everybody's, like I said, that's just the brand name, I feel like, in Nashville, especially our scene. Everything.
That's really cool to hear. I mean, I
yeah.
get giddy every time I like hear something like that.
You're doing something right.
Yeah, it's I don't really realize that until you like go to a show or something and you see a couple people wearing it. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I know that's
probably trippy.
Like a local thing, but it's kind of like spread outwards, and I've been able to go to like different places and different shows, and like I get messages of like, hey, I'm in this state, I see your shirts, and I'm just like, shut up.
That's crazy. Where did the name come from?
Kind of like developed through. Sorry, I'm spacing. I had the idea that, you know, hopefully we can edit all of this out.
It will be on the audio version
live,
with the YouTube version.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you're good.
I just had the idea of creating a name that was very humbling, and for me, like, not necessarily saying that I'm a god, but but saying that we all have that like power of creativity and that power to kind of like how religion was formed. You know, religion was formed like around the same time in like the 16th century, and it was a man's idea that created so many different religions of a very similar understanding in different places.
Right.
And so they all became like cast under the same category as like a title of religion that evolved into what they are now. I think that power of like divinity and understanding of like the human nature and it coexisting with all like creatures and life was taught in every single religion. And I thought that was a very powerful thing, but it's also something that all these humans created. It's something that we all like came up with on our own accord. So I kind of wanted to just create like have a name that resonated with that.
Yeah,
for
that's
me,
cool. Like everybody has the power to be, you know, creative, and it's just about putting the time in. And
yeah, well, like living in the South in the Bible Belt where things are very constricted and suppressed, and like they want you to like kind of fall in line with whatever it is.
Which we do the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, and like every denomination has their own criteria of like what's right and what's wrong. Like I just that never like I wanted to like create something that other people could resonate with. Coming like I came from a very religious background. My parents were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh,
and,
shit.
Yeah. They were very just like cut and dry. It's either this way or no way. Inevitable nothingness. They don't believe in heaven or hell. They believe in eternal nothingness if you don't like fall in line and baptize your soul in the name of Christ. Like, and I kind of excuse me, wanted to create something that was more so embracing like the other side of your brain, because for me I see it as a metaphor. I see it as like a left brain right brain kind of relationship, and you know your left brain being the more analytical, like, you know, strong in math and science, but also just very like the second guessing of things to find reason. You know, that I feel like that was very strongly portrayed as the devil throughout like the development of religion. And so I use a lot of like devil symbology, but by no means is it satanic or is it occult worship or anything of that nature. It's more so just like that sense that is strong within you to be in tune with your primal senses has been condemned so that you don't question or fall in line. And so I kind of wanted to bring a lot of that to light through whatever kind of art medium or form I can do.
That's awesome.
That's powerful.
Yeah, I dig that. That's really cool.
I don't know. It's very poorly explained, but
no, I totally get you. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's just a cool way to look at it as well, especially coming from a really religious, you know, background. I'm sure you have a different perspective on things rather than, you know, like my family wasn't. There was religion in my town, but it's not like my mom was, you know, pushing me, and so like it's just everybody has different, you know, perspectives on all that. So it's just really cool to hear that. Like you just probably have a totally different. I don't think I've ever heard anybody be a Jehovah's Witness child. So.
That sounds like a lot to drop on a child.
Yeah.
Eternal nothingness.
Well,
yeah, right.
Because they don't believe in hell, and for heaven, it's 144,000 people that have been pre-selected throughout time. Yeah, 144,000. You think about that in the terms of modern population.
Right.
It's like...
It's less than 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far less. And it's just like, who gave these people the right? And so you have all these people within their religion who just come out of nowhere, and they're like, God has blessed me in prayer, like, and through meditation and sleep, I had a dream that I am part of the 144,000.
Yeah, just say you're one.
Yeah. And from this point, like, since like the foundation's been organized, it's been well more than that of people that have come forth and been like, I am anointed. I'm going to heaven.
Yeah.
So it's like such
here.
an aspiration for people to be like, I get to serve in heaven's gates with God.
Yeah.
And it's been a very interesting experience, like just questioning things and like asking the elders of the congregation and like the church to kind of like give me some understanding and some like just further explanation as to who gets to decipher any of that, along with many other things that come with their practices. But it's It was a pretty crazy upbringing, though.
Yeah.
It's very occult-like.
Yeah,
I
that's
would say it contributed to your art down the road.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I would say too. Is I feel like when it comes to religion and everything, it's all about finding. People want to have purpose. I feel like that's just humans in general, and that's where religion comes in and fills that. It's like I am serving, like I am living my life for this deity, you know. Whereas like for us, it's like music's our purpose, or design and
Your
art
creative
and
outlet, your form of expression as a human being that goes through daily life and experiences whatever civilization's offered.
Yeah.
It's like that is your meditation, that's your divinity, that's you releasing that.
It's like, think of when you go to a show and it really is
When you
similar.
open up that pit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's similar in the aspect of everybody's there and just kind of zoned in on these people on stage, and they can say, I want you all to move over here and then attack each other, you know. Like, but that's like it's the kind of the same thing of like I've been
weird,
to
dude.
like when I was a kid, you know, going to these big mega churches and everybody's just kind of, you get like your mind gets put in this trance because everybody's got the same energy, you know. And I feel like it's I feel like it's the same for a show.
It's funny, I joke about it at shows, and I'm just like, yeah, having a good time at church.
Yeah.
Like, having a great night at church. Like, that's just been an ongoing joke for me personally, because similar to your experience, like, I felt that. Like,
Yeah. And
it's the same thing as, like, any cult leader, too, you know? Like, you have a charismatic figure. You got your charismatic band. Like, they're performing something that you want to hear. You're there for it. And they're able to, like, lead you on through, like, whatever they want to keep the energy that they want alive.
Dude, like, because every time, you know, going to see Avenged or something, you're just it's a different mindset, and it's weird. It's like you're in this trance.
The more you
know?
believe, the like deeper it is.
Yeah. You know, like you're in love with this band, and then
Like
everybody
a sports
around
game,
you.
a live sports game.
Sports too. It's
When
all
you're rooting for your team, you know.
It's all about like humans just finding this purpose. You know.
I think it's because we don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, why are we here?
I don't think we ever have. And I think that's where, like, a lot of those, like, prophets and major religions have stemmed from, is people not knowing what's going on, but then being such creatively ambiguous spirits that they have to come up with something that makes sense to them. And so you have something that makes sense to them in all different regions, but that was way before technology.
Before Google,
Yeah, way before, like communication and connectivity had really escalated to the point where it is now, to where they couldn't communicate those thoughts to each other. It's like everyone was all over the place with the exact same idea of like, what is this?
Yeah.
Let's make something out of it. And then now that, you know, we can kind of like communicate on a fucking massive scale, like it's insane. But it's just amazing to me that like that same power isn't recognized, that we don't see that within ourselves, that we have that exact same ability to feel something, to feel that full creative potential, but not put it to like a better understanding of like what we are.
Right.
Because that's kind of what it's always been to me personally. It's like, it's just been the nature of man, is to come up with a god and to create a scapegoat for their things that they feel bad about, like. And it's not, it doesn't have to be that way. It's like a sense of judgment, and a lot of religions have turned that judgment into like a devil of some nature, and to something that like commits them and puts them in an eternal place of where they don't want to be, for being that way, for being themselves and not fixing themselves. It's not a nature of working on themselves. They just accept that they're that way, but I don't believe that. It's like we can,
for sure,
we can change.
That's really cool.
We're human.
Yeah.
We're creative as fuck.
That's right.
We are, yeah. And that's the wild thing. That's why it's always so hard to, like, I think it just goes back to we'll never know. And because there's so many.
You don't think ever?
Maybe with AI. That's one thing that I hope. That's my big hope with AI, because they'll be able to just do thousands of years of evolution. Like once it hits the singularity,
without an emotional bias.
Yeah.
As we as humans feel.
Yeah, and so maybe they'll.
What if they need the emotional bias to wanna learn why?
Isn't that the great question though?
I guess so.
Well, it has that sense of not being able to rationalize things held us back. Like, Do we place too
No.
much emotion into like, yes, this is right because I feel this way. There's no factual evidence behind a God or anything that when it comes to spirituality, but is it that way because someone feels that way, or is it because that's the way that it is? And I think that AI might be able to like spend enough time being like, hey, this is the way it is, this is the way it is, okay, let's keep moving forward with that.
It doesn't matter though. I feel like there's always gonna be people that, even if there is proof, gonna be like, no, you know.
Well, that's
like,
fine.
I had a friend back home, and I was talking about how
What's his name? Where does he live?
Dexter, Kansas.
He will remain anonymous.
Yeah, but I remember I asked him, I was like, if AI somehow ran the world properly and everybody agreed on it, you know, like they had the perfect, well, you know, like they figured out a treaty to make world peace in a sense.
So you're suggesting an NWO?
Yeah.
Just follow me. I have the answer.
Yeah. But, well, I mean,
I
just
know the
like
way.
they make like a peace treaty and just have these guidance that make complete sense. You know, he was just like, I wouldn't follow it because it's not human, you know? Like, there's always going to be that.
So maybe
Which I guess from
maybe
that.
emotions are the weak link.
The inhibitor.
He ain't human.
Yeah.
Don't trust him.
God.
All right.
Such a tribal mentality.
Yeah.
I wanted to go into, there's a lot of cool things that you've sponsored. And so the first one that I saw was Halloween Metal Fest 2 in 2016. That was pretty much
Yeah.
right when you formed.
That was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
It was pretty small. There was maybe like 50 people there throughout the night, but that was the first thing that I got to be on.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like actual metal bands, you know, not like a subgenre of like deathcore or metalcore or anything like that. Like, I feel like Murfreesboro has like a stronger sense of community when it comes to like the metal scene. And like, we haven't really had much of that in Nashville. I feel like we don't get as much support when it comes to those kinds of shows. They're usually thrown off to a dive bar, or they don't want to be taken on. Like, those local bands that are like producing that kind of metal don't want to be taken on to like what's popular and what's the social norm of like the current state of metal and whatever subgenre that is. Totally off topic to the Halloween Metal Fest, but
That's a good divulge there, though.
yeah,
that's good.
it's just an observation. But that was a lot of fun. That was one of my first like fests that I had done.
And sponsoring it and everything. That's really cool.
It was a lot of fun. I got to meet some really cool people. That's where I met Nick Cross. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is.
Yeah, because he did the vocals over one of Norman's and I Griever.
Yeah.
He like put vocals.
Yeah, he did
over,
a vocal cover.
of one of his songs.
It was just like, finally.
Yeah.
How does
I was
Norman
like,
feel?
Norman has been so like offset to letting anyone do
that's what I
anything
figured.
vocally or anything visually aside from his album covers for I Griever, because he wants it to be such like a
It's
like
a
an
story,
experience,
yeah.
like a story,
It's-
and
yeah.
if you feel it through the music, then that's okay. Sure, there's a written narrative. He's got a whole like premise written for.
He's got a legit story. That's what blows my mind about that. Is like,
So was he stoked on this dude doing the vocals or no?
Yeah, I mean he liked.
yeah,
it
I
very
think he
much.
thought it was cool because he talked about like just there's so many changes in that. It's not structured like a normal song for vocals to
Yeah.
be over. So he was just impressed.
And as humble of a person as he is, like having someone be like, "Oh, I want to do a vocal cover over like one of my songs."
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He loved that. I've tried so many times to be like, "Look, let's depict this visually. Let's break it apart and create some kind of animation." I wanted to do like a paper claymation kind of thing, like Sky Harbor did with that Patience music video. Like, I thought that was such a cool thing, and for the concept of I Griever, I thought it would be really cool for him to have a very similar visual aesthetic and to tell his story through puppetry and like, and
he's
mood lighting, and he's just like,
he doesn't want visual representation.
I want you to really feel it and have your
And
own.
the crazy thing is he can do that through music. Norman blew when I had him on here. Like, he just, that guy is next level, which is an awesome segue into your relationship with Norman, and just like, because I know you guys are close and he's helped out a lot with all your stuff. So when did you meet him?
Honestly, I met him when I was 14 or 15. I had booked a show in Westmoreland, Tennessee. I was like co-booking a show, and it was a big festival. So like As Hell Retreats and Rose Funeral were the headliners.
Oh, nice.
And we thought it'd be a cute idea to make it like a Heaven Meets Hell show because one's a Christian band and one was totally satanic.
Yeah.
And I was like, my band was playing that show. And we were hanging out outside. I was a dumbass little 15-year-old smoking cigarettes, and he was straight edge at the time and walked up to me and he's just like, "Are you old enough to be smoking?"
That's awesome.
And I was just
What an
like,
encounter.
"Okay, Norman. Okay."
That's great. What a story. Yeah, and he's helped out through a lot of, I know that, man, we are segueing so good. Vans Warped Tour 2017. And it wasn't even just Nashville. You got to do Atlanta and Cincinnati.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Is that where you had the tent set up to like sell merch and stuff there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It was a really cool experience, and I'm so happy that I had one of my best friends there with me along the way.
Yeah,
Like, that's what it
that's
was
sick.
all about. And he didn't want money. He refused money and like was just like, "Just buy me lunch."
Yeah.
And like every day he'd be like, "So the boss is buying lunch."
I like his style. I
That's
like
so
his style.
crazy. What was that like, just selling merch at Warped Tour?
That was one of the most like surreal experiences for me in terms of like something that I've created and done.
Yeah.
So they require you to send an application like 6 to 8 months or whatever in advance, and they want you to build like a portfolio or like just a total like sales package of what you're going to be selling on their tour. And so I came up with like a PDF template of all the merch that I had and like what it was, what I was about. They want you to have like a 500-word thing explaining like what you are as a brand and why that affiliates with Warped Tour. And so I submitted that thinking slim chance,
Yeah.
you know, but that's never gonna happen. It's a dream, whatever. And then they emailed me back like 3 months later, and they were just like, "We want you on the tour." And I wasn't anywhere where I needed to be as a brand to
Yeah.
actually be on Warped Tour.
Right.
It was,
Throwing up a prayer.
yeah, it was like a likely idea or whatever. And so when I got the acceptance letter, I was just like, "Oh shit, I need to invest. I need to crunch. I need to actually make the brand that I've made seem like it's a thing."
Yeah.
Because it's really not. You know, it's just something that's been forming for a few months, and I've been able to pop up at a couple local shows and things like that, and have an e-commerce store and have a social media basis. But like being able to move into doing something like that kind of changed the game for me, and it also, in retrospect, taught me a lot, because that's why I'm not really doing much with the brand right now. It's a bigger. It's a full scale business that you know, like I said, I was just going into it to create a couple shirts with my designs on.
Right.
I wasn't planning on doing any of that. But having Norman there supporting every step of the way was a huge deal for me, because he, like, every time I questioned myself or had any kind of self-doubt, he was just like, "No, like, it is this, and you need to see that." And it kept me motivated. He's one of those just like very in tune human beings who's just, he sees the creative potential in himself and wants to see that in others as well. And like he gave me that sense of belief in myself and my art, and I followed through. Like before even the first date of Warped Tour in Nashville, I had so many doubts and I wanted to back out.
Yeah.
And didn't want to follow through with it just because I didn't think I would be ready. But I ended up showing up, you know, like 30 minutes early, and your spot is based on like your ability to like be there on time. So like whoever gets there it's first come first serve.
Right.
I ended up getting the spot right next to the main monster stage, and I was set up next to like a mirror and stick to your guns and like all the big guys that I'd listened to for so long. And so I was just like, shut up, like
Yeah.
you guys aren't
Getting to
setting
see
me up here.
getting to see some awesome bands, and then them wearing your merch.
So that goes another segue.
Yeah.
So that actually evolved from well, like a lot of bands have worn my merch. I'm not gonna like give any credit to like local bands compared to like some of the labeled bands, but it was a really, really cool experience having Frankie Palmieri from Mimir. I was set up right behind Monster Stage, and so he was like setting up about to play and had seen some of my merch like hanging from the back of the tent, and he ended up coming around the corner and being like, "Hey, how much for this shirt?" And I was just like,
$50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to
like,
sell 'em something up a little
but I
bit.
was just like, no, man, I really want to get my name out there, and if you'd wear my merch live, then I'd be happy to have you wear it. Like, no big deal. Just come see me later. And so he ended up coming by the tent about an hour later, picked up a whole bunch of merch, and ended up wearing it for the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
Like, he was all over the place
crazy.
with it. And it was just like it was such a, like, cool thing for me to have people within the industry that have, like, come up.
Mm-hmm.
Because the bands that make it in the, like, metalcore and, like, deathcore world are solely fan based. It's very DIY. Sure, there's labels involved, but like it's like such a small demographic compared to, like, you know, major, like, rock and things of that nature, that it's great to see people who've put in the effort and the work kind of like reciprocate that.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you're out here doing it, let's do it together. And never met the dude a day in my life. Met him at the Nashville show. The Atlanta show was a day after the Nashville Warped Tour date. And I messaged him on Instagram. I was just like, yo, if you don't mind wearing that shirt, I'd love to snag a couple pics. And that day, he was just like, yeah, absolutely. And I ended up, what he said was, I wish I could go back in the messages, but it's like way far back. He was just like, he seemed like a thumbs up or something. Like, nothing that insinuated, like, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I thought it was more of like, I'm big leagues, yeah, sure, buddy.
Yeah.
And then our tent, we had got good timing there in Atlanta as well, which ended up being a shit show.
I saw that because it was windy or something, right?
Yeah, rained
that was
out.
Yeah.
And Stay Sick and, like, Counterparts and, like, all those guys were, like, right in front of us. And Counterparts' tent didn't fly, but Stay Sick's tent flew over the fence and, like, just got totally demolished. But I had heard Amir playing, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go check this out and see if he's wearing it. And I walked up and he was. And I was just like, no way. You've got to be kidding me. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
This is
That's crazy.
life.
That's awesome. Especially at Warped Tour, man. Like, that's like,
this is,
I mean,
Jesus.
Warped Tour when you're a kid, as you know, as we all know, is just, that's the thing. And you got to sell your merch. Like, that's just,
It's the pinnacle of, like, what, like, well, because it started out as like a very hardcore punk and ska based kind of thing when Warped Tour began, and it evolved into like what was more popular in modern music, and it's stuff that we all like love, and Warped Tour became a huge thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was just always the thing to, you know, go to Warped Tour, but to be at Warped Tour and to like
exactly.
be able to like be part of that was huge. I just felt very connected.
Yeah.
Like, it was a very humbling experience.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then you did Threat Fest.
No, I ended up not doing Threat Fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I promoted the crap out of Threat Fest because it was a DIY artist. I mean, Justin Jones, like, Vital Threat. He's awesome at what he does when it comes to marketing, and is on point with, like, getting his name out there. And I just wanted to be part of that. I didn't care. Like, I initially was going to be part of it, and I was just going to set up a booth. But it was more so just about promoting something that was also of a similar
just
nature.
music around here.
Something that you created and you wanted to do for the community and bring people together. And just promoted the good-loving crap out of that.
Yeah. That's one thing, too, is, like, just your social media game is really solid.
Thank you.
Yeah, just, like... just posting the sale. I mean, I just feel like you do run the business really well, like with how you do your sales and these specials and Black Friday sales, and then like we're having this sale until we hit this many people, and getting just all the promo pictures, and I just feel like it's set up very beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's just a sense of engagement.
Yeah.
Creating content that people can engage with. Because without your following and without the people that are supporting what you do, you're absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's just like being a band.
Exactly. Well, I see it the same way. And it's more about band, brand, whatever. It's branding.
Yeah.
And for me, branding isn't like a brand that you go to the store and buy, or you know, like a store as to like what it sells. A brand is who you are. Like, a brand is how you carry yourself. A brand is much more than just like a staple of something. I don't know, like it has a lot to do with like how you carry yourself and how you present yourself. I think like as bands too, like like when it comes to marketing, like you should you guys do very well. Like Archeons, like I love that you have a logo, you have a staple emblem that people know and recognize without having to see the name Archeons to know that it's Archeons. Like that's a huge step forward with getting that like first nature grab of attention. Like that is so key, and that's like why I like am very passionate about what I do.
Yeah.
Is because I want, like, when I design for people, I want to create something that resonates with what they've created, but in my own artwork.
Yeah.
So say you guys are musicians, I want to create something that like you guys have put time and effort and so much work into doing whatever it is that you're doing, like creating your music. Like that takes so much. I'm not a musician myself. Like I play many different things here and there, but like that's not my art form. So to see you guys put that work and to create a full composition of what it is that you do, it needs to be represented visually to grab the modern day consumer's attention. And the market changes day to day, and so I need to be able to like resonate with what you are and what you do, and create something based on what that is in the fullest sense of what's gonna bring you guys like followers and attention and just whatever it is, some sense of engagement. Like that's very key to just being anything, is having a brand. It's
for sure. I think that's kind of the first step, and that's just how it is in this day and age. With maybe not 30 years ago it wasn't as important to have this image and branding. Yeah, I mean, it was, but not like how it is now, where everybody's just engaged in social media and they want to interact with you and, all that. Which, and don't take away from yourself, too, because, like, creating music definitely takes time, but so does building art. Like, that's...
I mean, you just said, it's music's just our art form, and yours is... You're doing sick ass.
But you put tons of time into, and it's which is equally as amazing for a musician to see. And
it's a mutual sense of respect, because when I get a request to do an album cover or a shirt design or something, I want to, like, if it's an album, I want to listen to what it is that you have that you're gonna be putting out. If it's raws, if it's like unmixed material, I want to hear it. I want to feel it.
Yeah.
So that I can know what I'm working with. Because when I do that, like, for me, like, I'm able to put that into what it is that I do just as much as what you guys have put into with your music. I think that's just as important, equally as important. Because, like, people have that sense of instant gratification. And that kind of falls in line with, like, what they see is what they want.
Right.
And so... some people might not even check out your music if you have a low grade logo or album cover or the sense of that of how you present yourself. Like, I think that people need to really have that same sense of respect for how they're seen as how they're heard. But with the modern market, people bypass things because it has a low quality logo or a low quality album cover, and they're just like, nah, whatever, it's probably gonna be shit, whatever. But it might be the greatest thing you've ever heard.
Right.
It might really like resonate with you, but you're not gonna give it a chance because how you saw it is either how you passed it or how you took it in. And I want to just like that's what I do when I like listen and like hear someone's music. I just try to become in tune with it as much as I can with myself, as if I were the person that created it. I want to love it. I want to nurture it, and I want to like replicate that.
That's cool.
Yeah, like adapting to the climate.
Visually, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, goes hand in hand too.
The Full Moon Tattoo and Horror Convention.
Yes.
You did do that one.
I did do that one.
How was that?
That was chaos.
Yeah.
The name sounds interesting.
Well,
Sounds like a good time.
Full Moon Tattoo and Horror had a good reputation for a tattoo and horror convention for a while, but then they ended up just like scaling down the size of what they do and the amount of art that they could bring on.
Mm-hmm.
The artists, the actors, like the horror and haunt actors and actresses out there.
Right.
They ended up like toning that down quite a bit the year that I had gone on. I know some things happened within the Dixon family, and they weren't able to really produce what they had wanted to that year, but they were just like, hey, we're still going to pull out another year. It ended up being a total shit show.
Oh, really?
They booked a smaller hotel. They didn't have as big of a space to have all the vendors and people that they wanted to, but still booked just the same.
Oh, man.
And so they booked a huge tent outside of the hotel, which would direct traffic.
Right.
Like, and it would have been good if there wasn't a storm that day.
Oh, God.
But,
Were you outside?
I gotta love Tennessee. Yep, I was in that tent. I was outside.
Damn.
And along with like 10 other vendors, and like Black Hope Curse was one of those vendors, and they're a really cool brand out of Washington. Like they're like kind of like Blackcraft, but in the sense that they just have like a lot of like local artists produce their artwork, and there's just a bunch of people out there, and we got hit with a storm. I felt the wind coming, and so I started packing up immediately. I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna get a spot inside, or I'm not gonna pay your deposit.
Yeah.
And so I ended up packing up all my stuff and then like moving it inside, and then Ben ended up like tearing down the tent that was outside, and no one was able to vend out there because the storm hit so hard.
Gosh.
And so you had like 10, 15 vendors in a hallway in a hotel.
Yeah.
Going to like the exit in the back of the hotel. So there was no foot traffic at all whatsoever. I ended up getting like the first spot right by the front door because I had just packed up so early.
Yeah,
I was just like, my intolerance led me to getting a place
Right.
of being able to be seen, like getting some kind of foot traffic. And I actually did really well at that
That's
event.
good.
Like it was
Hell
awesome
yeah.
because despite what Ben and Stacey Dixon put on, the people that they were able to bring there and the vendors are the people that I was able to connect with. And I was able to just really fill people out and talk to people of what I was interested in. And it wasn't really like the people that were coming to buy tickets and getting tattooed there and stuff that I was able to like sell my merch to. It was the local vendors, and we ended up doing like a bunch of trades and stuff.
That's cool.
Like I didn't really like focus on selling anymore because like what I thought the
Right.
event was going to be ended up getting demolished, and we just kind of like all reformed the idea. We were all stuck in a hallway. So you've got 6 by 4 foot tables and a 10-foot hallway. You've got 2 feet of space in between. You literally walk down the hall and see like what you want to see or whatever you don't want to see. You know, it's more about that like instant grab kind of thing. Like, oh, this vendor's cool. I like what they're doing. But as vendors and like mask makers, like costume designers and all the people that were there to vend, like it was really cool to connect with those people. And I've got connections now that like I'll still like hit those people up and just be like, how are you, how's your business going, like what's going on?
See, that's cool. That's a way to take something that's shitty and turn it into a positive light, which I feel like is so important in the creative endeavors, you know, like building your brand and everything. Is a lot of things will probably suck, but you can always find the good in it because there's going to be other people there you can, you know, just connect with.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to talk to like-minded people.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I feel like that's the greatest thing is when there's so many people there's a lot of people who aren't trying, but there's a lot of people who are, and they're the crazy ones, you know, like going for something that's out of the norm, you know. And so when you get to talk to
crazy.
Yeah. Dang, don't take it so literally.
No, it's a good
Are you
crazy.
offended?
Yeah. Good crazy.
I'm crazy.
No, you want to be with the crazy one.
I am.
Okay, and then this one's cool. So Decayer, the band, out, and you got to go to Arizona for that.
Got to go to Arizona and California.
So you did multiple runs on their tour.
I did a very small run. That tour ended up just being like what has gotten Microgods to the point where it is now, where I'm not posting and like doing anything with it. It's a very soft topic for me to touch on. But it was nonetheless like a great experience to be with a band of such immense talent.
Yeah.
And marketing ability. Like Harrison of Decayer, he's a vocalist. He's got such a great idea for social media marketing. He doesn't see it as a platform for just putting something out there and getting as many likes as you can.
Mm-hmm.
He seeks to engage with every individual that he like is able to. Like the album End Note that they had putting out, it was about suicide and a friend of his that he had lost. And he put it out to just be able to reach out to other individuals who had dealt with like the same feelings of wanting to be suicidal, or friends, or having friends and family that had committed suicide. Like, he just really wanted to put that out there. And I connected with him through a friend from Nashville that moved to Arizona, who became friends with them. And we were able to just kind of like resonate on a very similar wavelength and do something that we just wanted to creatively. It started out in Arizona. It was the first date was in Tucson, and then we ended up moving up through California a little bit. I think my last date was Santa Ana, California. So I made it like 3 or 4 dates into the tour.
Yeah.
That is a whole nother story. I had ended up like saving up so much for that tour. I saved up like not so much in retrospect,
Right.
but like a decent amount to be able to have a sense of security throughout the tour.
Right.
Smart.
And then my bank account had gotten $1,400 taken out of it.
Oh shit.
By like insurance and like different things that I had canceled in the past.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what the hell? Like,
Damn.
like I had like saved this up for the tour and now it's gone. What do I do? Can I go on the tour? I've got merch to pay for. Like, I like sunk a lot into actually being able to keep the tour perpetuating throughout. I think they ended up going to Washington. They went to Seattle, and they went to Portland, Oregon, and they went to Idaho. Ended up not being able to hit those dates with them, which I had originally planned, but it like I had to drop off just from like, you know, you've got hit or miss shows. Like, that's how every band is. Like, you've just got those shows that are just like flump, or they're packed and you just don't sell any merch. Whatever the case was, I made it about four dates into the tour and had a great time with those guys nonetheless.
Yeah.
Like,
it's an experience. Yeah.
I was able to get my brand out in different states.
Yeah. The West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to hit the West Coast and like see the beauty that this country has to offer.
Right.
Like, going from Arizona to California, being from desert to like mountainous regions to beachfront was mind blowing.
Right.
Is that this country has that to offer.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Also close too. Well, kind of close, but
like realistically, the world is so small, and those places that we see as such like far out ideas to be able to travel to are very close.
Right.
And being able to go there and be there with like-minded people was a very amazing experience. Nonetheless, it backfired on me financially and decreased my ability to continue promoting microgods and coming out with new material. And I was trying to, you know, come out with seasonal lines, like mainly like a spring and a fall line, and then in between that have like seasonal releases and brand collaborations. That's something that I'm still wanting to do, but at the time, like, it's not something I've been pursuing.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that's just how businesses go, you know? It's always kind of like you have your spike, and then something shitty always happens because it's fucking life.
At least you're out there getting after it.
Yeah.
Better than staying at home.
Yeah. Is my little brain baby too, so I like took it to heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
I ended up just like kind of like dwelling on it for too
Right.
long, and I'm just like,
Dude,
no, it's dead.
I get that so much.
Right.
I feel that's very similar to
perspective, man.
Yeah. Well, it's just similar to, you know, musicians. It's like coming out with an album, and then you put this money behind it, and then it does meh. You know, you recoup a quarter of the cost that you put into it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, is this, like, do I want to you know, you have those internal struggles.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's anything with something that you create because you're so sensitive about it.
Yeah,
You know?
because that's like your project. That's your creation. Like that's your little brain baby.
Yeah.
And you put so much into nurturing it and raising it and getting it to where it's at, and then it doesn't do what you want it to do, and you're like, bad baby.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Like
And then
you
you
condemn yourself.
Yeah.
And you're just like, am I not doing it right? What do I need to do to change? You go into this like strong state of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also very important for just a creative individual.
Yeah.
To create the next best thing.
You have to. And then I just feel like that's what always separates people is the people that keep going.
Yeah, I think that self-reflection is a very good thing. Because then if shit goes south and you just give up, then who knows what could come from it, you know?
Yeah.
So if you sit back a little bit and kind of ponder what happened, I think that's a good thing.
I always like to think of the opportunities that are presented because we're pursuing these kind of things. And that always kind of keeps me going is like, who knows what I would miss out if I wasn't doing this in the future? You know, who knows what's to come?
That's it right there.
And
same shit though. Who knows what's to gain?
mm-hmm.
Who knows what's to, the possibilities of meeting some bands that I had like not necessarily idolized, but have been like, you guys have put in the work. You're doing it. Like to have that connection with people of a similar nature where I'm in just the exact same boat of like not doing anything more than just creating what I feel is necessary.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a feeling that we can all really hone in on and keep working towards if we haven't succeeded at it yet.
Yeah.
Those failures push you and urge you to create the next best thing. You have to fail to be able to.
Yeah, to be successful, you have to fail. That's all it is. It's really trial and error. We joke about it all the time, but trial and error is
and a lot of error.
A lot of
like 99% error, and then that 1% success will take you where you need to go. But it's just failing constantly, and then something good happens, but then you fail again and you come back down.
That's literally it, man.
You know what they say? The master succeeds more than the apprentice has ever tried.
Yeah. So true.
Such a true statement.
Yep.
Hot damn.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Ball is life.
Thug line.
But I do want to go into we talked about a little off camera, but when you are
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't. But when you are really talented at something and you it's hard for you to charge people. We've talked about this a little bit before, but you put in the time and the effort and you're really good. And I feel like it's only with art that people feel like I want to do this service just to kind of get my art out there, or just something like that. It's like musicians not making money off music anymore, and stuff like that. I just kind of want to go into like how you feel about that because I feel it too. Like it's awkward to ask,
and to gauge a price for what something's worth.
Definitely.
But also like the artist is his own worst critic.
Yeah.
And so you like as someone who can offer a service for something that they've spent endless hours, uncountable hours trying to master, to create a mastery of, to perfect. Like it's not easy to put an hourly span on something like that. It's not an hourly job.
Don't mind me.
It's nothing like that. Like will mind.
You totally minded. Well, fuck me. All right, we're good.
Minded over.
The computer shut off, and I got a little worried there.
Well,
we're still good.
Are we good?
We'll edit that in post.
great. Thank God.
So what were we saying before? I ruined it.
Oh, just about putting a gauge on your time, like an hourly.
It's extremely hard and awkward to do. Like over time, I've become more comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I worked in a design agency, and then I've also just done research as to like what people are able to say that they want for something, because you do have to meet the modern market demand. But for me, when it comes to like local bands and people that are just as much putting their effort and their creative talents into something that they want to do, Like I don't charge those like market demand prices.
Yeah.
Like that's not realistic for me because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I think that other people doing something that they want represented visually is something worth respecting in a mutual sense. I'm not necessarily, well, eventually I'm trying to create a business
Right.
out of what I'm doing. And I want to screen print. I want to run, I want to develop a website. I want to run that website and have like a full stock of merch for said band or brand. And I want to be able to ship it out myself and also provide that merch for the bands on tour and like be able to be the full background person for the digital media aspect of what that band is doing. But that's going to come with its own pricing that is accommodatable to the modern man who is working its 9-to-5 job and then still going home and practicing 3 times, like however many times a week that a band practices, or you know, a month. Like the amount of work for me that a band puts into is just as respectable to decrease off the price of what the modern market demand for that field is. Like whether it comes to like videography or creating whatever kind of merchandise or artwork, I don't think that should be met with like the standard for pricing.
Right.
For me, it's a respectable sense of like, this is what I want to do and this is the scene that I'm a part of, and I want to be able to have a full circle effect for what that band's able to do outside of what this is.
Right.
You know, I want them to be able to have that sense of outreach, and if I can give them a look that is able to give them that outreach, it's not just me giving them that outreach. Their music absolutely is going to do that, but the full package of what that is, and to be able to present yourself with a sense of quality that meets the quality that you've put into the music is just as important. So I don't know, like pricing things is like really hard for me to do. I've got a very hard time with like sending like a friend who I've known for 10-15 years in the music scene and saying like, hey, this is how much I'm going to charge you. Like Norman, one of my best friends, I've worked on 2 t-shirt designs, a couple hoodie designs, an album cover, and other things, and I've still been yet to like send him like an invoice or like a quote or anything. I'm just like, I want to see you thrive. I want to see the amount of work that you put into what you do exposed. I want to see that before I want to see any money in my bank account. Like that's not what it's worth to me. And I think many other artists have that same like
for sure
like struggle.
They want to get your art, you know, out and help. Well, for you, it's helping a lot.
You're getting more than a monetary gain. You're getting a return that's.
But I also
to you.
think it's very important for the musicians that you help to understand if they want you to continue in this path, then you do have to make. It's just as if they need to make money to continue to do music. You know, you have to make money to do graphic design because we want you to continue contributing to Nashville without like imagine if you could do it full time. You know the amount of gains that you could make for everybody. And so I think that it's just like both sides need to.
It's a mutual respect.
Yeah.
And like oftentimes they'll let bands like name their own price. You just want to price accommodatively. Like you want to be able to work with the person that's coming to you for a design. Because oftentimes, like within a band, like you've got like 1 or 2 writers, and the rest are just members. Mm-hmm. And so you think about that, and you've got 2 people paying for a design that is something that isn't the same as like 5 people paying for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things that you want to like be accommodatable for.
You like scale for the situation.
I gauge every artist. Every artist, I'm like, okay, you have this idea. You have hit me up for a logo, a shirt, an album cover. Give me as much information as you possibly can, so that I can give you a price based on your concept. Like, let me know what you have going on and what your concept is, so that I can price you fair. I don't price any artist the same. like anybody. Like it's always different because I just never know what I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay for me. Like, I think you should have a gauged bias for what you want to price, but at the same time, you don't want to overcharge people that are doing something that they love. And I fully think that you should take some kind of like rate for what you're doing because you put so many hours into what you're doing. Like, I mean, I've been doing this since I was like 15, so I can knock out an album cover in like 3-4 hours, but I'm not gonna price you hourly. Like, it's based on your concept kind of idea.
How much goes into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
fantastic.
what do you think you have going on here? Let me take that into account and create something based on what I think that is.
Yeah.
It's a much more like personal transaction, if you will. I think that's fantastic. It's like the opposite of like the corporation world where everything's like standardized and it is hourly and you're getting this no matter what. I think that's great.
And speaking on that, like with what I've worked for in the past, I worked for an agency, Something Inked. They do great print work. I mean, they do phenomenal print work, but they do embroidery, they do outsourcing, they do like third-party China replications of a design that is supposed to be a certain company's, but they'll create it completely to your needs. Like they'll cut and sew you a piece of fabric to exactly what you want it to be for a very similar price. And just seeing that side of the market and knowing what that costs, I can't honestly charge people what I think they should be charged for applying that design to a piece of item that is going to be very easily sewn and replicated.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's very honest.
So
But-
like, for, I don't know, to like slap the Nike symbol on something.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
saying it'd be really cheap.
Exactly. You could have a short that you think fits perfect.
And I want to put Supreme on it.
And you want to put Supreme, you want to put Nike, you want to put anything on it.
Yeah.
You brand that as well as you want to, and it's a cut and sew garment. People are going to pay whatever they think is deemable to pay.
Yeah.
But that's not my market.
Yeah.
Like, my market is the design and the application that it costs to be able to produce that item.
Yeah.
The item that you want to produce as a band. So I don't think that you guys should have much overhead to be able to produce that for yourselves, because that's gonna generate albums for you. That money that you're gonna intake from that item is gonna set you far. Like,
You ever think about doing like a design for free, but you get a percentage of like merch sales or anything?
it's funny that you say that, because I've been hit up today for literally to be involved in a company that produces one-off designs, niche designs for different companies. I've been hit up for this idea in the past, but the guy that I'm working with now, I think, is pretty cool, and I think that he's got a lot of really great ideas, and he wants to produce niche ideas, one-off brands that need to be very strongly Facebook marketed and pushed all over the place, but for the one design.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of brands and companies try to produce like multiple designs, and they're just like, hey, we're a brand, this is what we're doing. Like the mass of people don't really see it because they want their attention to be grabbed.
Yeah.
Man.
The guy that hit me up for that, like, I did that serial killer design. I'm not sure if you saw that on Instagram, but it's like Jason killing a bunch of cereal
Yeah.
icons like Captain Crunch and Lucky the Leprechaun and the Toucan from Fruit Loops. Like a lot of that, like I think that's really sick because he can market that to one specific crowd.
Right.
And I think that that's very like
To kids.
alternate niche. And like I very much so price based on the niche.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's a
Man,
cool
this
idea.
is where does the whole business aspect come from? Because it seems like you're very business oriented, which is fantastic, obviously. Can you, like,
I think
pinpoint
it's
that
much a
in
need
your
to.
past?
That's very much a need to kind of thing. For me, being a person that worked for a company that was like producing Greta Van Fleet and like J. Cole and like all like a whole bunch of different kind of merchandise, I learned how to brand. I learned how to take a sense of identity and bring that to what is a brand. I think that a brand means much more than yourself, as we touched on in the past.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's really it's as simple as that. It like a lot of like local bands and artists and whoever is trying to promote their artwork can do the very same thing as long as they find the demographic that meets for what they're trying to do and they
Definitely,
adapt
yeah.
and mold to what that is. And that doesn't mean like letting yourself go as an artist. That doesn't mean like sacrificing a sense of self to be able to produce something that another person is wanting. I think it just means being able to really hear and listen and feel what another artist is doing, being able to take that and replicate it into what their own art is. And if you want to be in this field, that's something worth paying for. That's something worth like showing true to your sense of self. Like something that you've made is something worth something else is able to make.
Yeah. Dang. Right in the field.
I don't know.
No, for sure.
Right in the field.
I did want to go into, so I saw a Facebook post that you made, and it talked about two artists. You were addressing artists, and you said, how do you deal with like creative burnout or restrictions? And I just thought,
Well, here's how I do it.
and
Hit me,
And so I just wanted to know
please.
from your perspective, like with graphic design, and I'm sure there's been times where it's like, what am I gonna do, you know? And how do you get past just thinking of ideas, and if you're not feeling anything, like how do you get past that creative burnout?
My biggest thing is physical exercise. Like anyone that deals with depression or that deals with anxiety or that deals with any kind of mental inhibition, I think physical exercise and diet are far more suitable than medication.
Yeah,
Heavy emphasis on that.
Heavy.
Absolutely.
that's really
Yes.
cool that you think. You don't hear that a lot from people,
You
but I
don't.
100%
You don't.
agree.
I've been a guinea pig to so many different medicines.
Yeah.
And it's not been the thing
Yeah.
for me. Like I've dealt with far worse symptoms of my depression, anxiety that I've been set back from medication. Like I really think that like someone that has that potential naturally has those inhibitions, then naturally has those like sense of setbacks that cause them to see the world for what it is, to feel depressed, to feel that low state of light, and to turn that around into something. Like it's really hard. I'm not saying that it's easy
Right.
by any stance
Definitely not, yeah.
to turn pain into expression. But if you can get yourself in the momentum of going on a run for a mile, do it like changing your appetite into something that processes correctly with your body, so that you can find your own chemical balance, because so many people are chemically imbalanced in so many different
Yeah.
ways that you have to find your own specific way as an individual.
Like, I think that it's very important that you find that and then stick to it with a sense of self-discipline and owning up to being born this way.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks, but fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I think that you really have to. Otherwise, you're just gonna stay dwelling. You're just gonna internalize. You're just gonna set yourself back.
Yeah.
And you really have to set yourself forward. You have to know what the steps are to get yourself forward, to be that sense of momentum for yourself. Like, otherwise, you're not gonna get there. It's a false hope.
Yeah.
Society has set you up to fail.
It's so wild, and especially with how food's made these days, you know, and just how our bodies aren't meant to process these kind of things. And I don't know, we were both really fat, and
Wow.
when we moved
It
here,
was my win.
but
Wait.
you know,
Y'all
it's-
look great.
not now, like back in the day, a couple years ago,
Damn,
like when we
yeah.
first moved here. And I just feel like everything changed when we started really adapting our diet to be what our body needs for the most part. It's not like we're perfect
Okay.
all the time, but
I don't think I figured that out.
really, I
Like
feel
what my body needs.
Oh no, but I mean, like we're not eating.
I knew what it didn't need, so I tried to stay away from that.
Well, I mean, more of just like you
That's where
start.
it starts, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you start
It's a
taking
step in the right
control of your
direction.
body, and
Yeah.
then not only does it help with obviously getting yourself healthier, but your mental state, because
Your physical resonates with your spiritual.
You can control that, and I think that's a lot of people. They want to be able to control things they can't control, but you can control yourself. And when it comes to food and everything, and you learn that by, okay, I'm gonna resist this cake. My big thing was sweets. I know yours was fucking New York
Pussy.
shit.
But the same thing, though, bagels. Fucking bagels.
Bagels. Dude, I do love me some bagels. I won't lie.
And just being able to resist that, and you're mentally strengthening yourself, and that helps in every area of life.
Yeah.
And
Most
so it's
definitely.
not only is your body's functioning better and running off of, more sufficient nutrients, but you're controlling yourself mentally.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that ties into everything in life.
That sense of self-discipline.
Yeah.
Like the same sense that I learned when I was like 17 years old to take a cold shower.
Mm-hmm.
Take an ice cold shower.
Damn.
Because naturally you want to resist it. You want to get the fuck out of that
Mm-hmm.
shower. But if you stay in, you're teaching yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's
I've never heard that one, but yeah.
Dude, I've tried it. I can't do it. I'm gonna be
if
real
you
with
take
you.
an ice cold shower and you can stand there for 60 seconds, you're teaching your brain to realign those patterns of synapses firing.
Yeah.
And you're showing it that it can withstand
Right.
rather than it can withdraw.
Yeah, that's, man, yeah. I feel like that's just with anything is like it's like if you go on a mile run and you don't usually run a mile, it's like you're like, I can't fucking do it. You're at
I'm
a
gonna
quarter
die.
mile and you're like, there is no way, and then you just go through it and you do it and you're like, oh shit, I did it, and I really didn't want to, but like I did it, and you're just teaching yourself, like for some reason there's two parts of you, and one knows that you can continue to go, and the other one's always trying to tell you like, stop, just
Ego.
Yeah.
Ego and physical.
yeah. So
And that's what
the
ego
cold
death.
shower is definitely interesting. I've never heard that one, but it makes sense because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the
Ego's crazy, man. I think we've had this talk on
yeah
a podcast or
Yeah, we
two
definitely talked about
the
ego. yeah
having some uses.
Well, I think
It's-
it always withstands. Ego is constant.
Unfortunately,
But so-
good to have in
But-
certain cases, but
Absolutely. But at the same time, like, it can inhibit you. And you need to be able to withstand and be able to see the difference within what kind of holds you back. Like, the way that I approach that specifically is meditation.
I was literally just gonna ask you. I was gonna throw you a curveball. Like, are you into meditation by any chance?
Because in that sense of like self-awareness and then that calm state, I've been able to learn to not judge my ego.
That's it. Man.
Because
That's
ego is constant. Ego will forever reign because it has a sense of I know better. Just like we were talking about in the first 15 minutes of this podcast. Like it is constant. And if we can't set ourselves back from that sense of self-awareness that knows, then what are we? Like if we can't question that, then it's really to nothing. Like the knowledge is biased. That knowledge is based off of someone else's interaction with themselves. That we are stuck because we can't process something that someone else has taught of a much broader mindset. Like it's a place of just complacency.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see that within ourselves, because if we become stuck and if we become complacent, we do not seek self-awareness. We do not seek that sense of like what's next, what's to become, what is the next state of regeneration that this human form has to offer. It's bleak. It's dry, it's unaware, and it becomes like all the Trump supporters.
Ooh. Shout out.
For real though, and I feel like that's the joy of creative paths, is you are always, you know that you don't know enough. And you know that you'll never know enough. And you have...
It's the fun part.
You have It is. I mean, it sucks, but it is because, like, every day you don't know what's going to come. You know, like, every day you're excited about the future because you're pursuing this path, and it's fresh. It's not a 9-to-5 where it's like I might get a raise in a year and then I'm going to be capped out until my next...
I get it. Like, because that's predictable.
Yeah.
Like, you
it's
can...
comfortable, yeah.
Say you...
No offense to people who work 9 to 5. It's not about that at all. I'm just saying it's a different...
A 9 to 5 doing something you don't like.
Yeah.
Uncomfortability is become a social norm. And that's okay. But if we don't try to progress and try to find those faults within ourselves that like show us the next level of what we can do, then what are we? We're literally just finding a plateau to be comfortable with, just like all religion has. Like, and that same sense of what we were talking about earlier, like religion just shows us a place of comfortability, a place of divinity to accept and then move on. And that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's really
learning.
Yeah, it's
continuing to grow
to the next moment to moment. Like within seconds, you can learn something about another human being and the wisdom that they have based on their experience, and learn from it. And if you're not open to that, then it's mindless circulation. It's a repetitive
just
cycle. It's psychosis.
It's comfortable, but it's I don't think that's what the human form is meant to.
Like it's psychosis in the terms of my mother, as a Jehovah's Witness, has become so comfortable within her own realm of what is acceptable that anytime something inhibits her environment, she assumes it's demons. She assumes she's being attacked. Like, she has this vulnerability to another realm.
Yeah.
That apparently, by stating that she's vulnerable, that the other realm was real. And with that attacking her, I feel like she should be more steadfast in her faith. And if her faith really had that much to question, then she should do some more research. Like, it's a total back and forth cycle that she needs to really do some more research in. And this isn't just about her. It's about most people that have this idea that this is the way. And then when something is encroached upon about the way that they believe in, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They claim it as demons.
What's that? Joe Rogan talked about it, where it's like your life is built around a certain belief, and if something questions that belief, even if you know it's not true, this isn't about necessarily religion, but he used it as like climate change. Somebody who knows that climate change isn't real, but they've spent their whole life saying that climate change is real. That if they came out and said that it wasn't real, like their entire identity is...
Yeah, it hurts their reputation.
Yeah, and it's like their entire life, because maybe they met their wife at a climate change convention, and, you know, all of their sponsors are climate change. If they came out and denied it, even though they know it's not real, then they can't... Like, their life is just, you know, how would you even...
How do you think you would hold up in that situation?
How do you
tough.
set that ego aside?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you could
Your
lose
whole
everything.
life, your whole life is set upon that belief.
Yeah, and so I think that's just incredibly important. I did want to ask, kind of going off topic, but I do love asking these kind of questions. It's just,
Yeah, buddy.
with how technology is now and the access to knowledge that we have, with podcasts, and I do feel like our generation is more... We're allowed knowledge, which is kind of beautiful.
You saw nothing. I've been exposed.
Oh!
Not my
I'm
whiskey.
so sorry. It's Coke.
Not my... No! No, that's my other whiskey.
Anyway, it's fine.
Do we get
It's
this
fine.
off the carpet now?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No.
We're podcasting. All right.
The show
anyway,
must go on.
So we are...
What's the question?
Just how we have the
We are
access...
fucked.
We have the access to so much information now. Do you feel like future generations will pursue the more creative endeavors because, like, they're allowed to? Because, you know, think about your parents. Like, if they wanted to pursue something like we were, it's not like they could just get on Google and research and pursue that. Like, they didn't have access to Photoshop or, you know, Reaper to be able to record and stuff. It's like they couldn't
Shout
do
out
it. But,
Reaper.
like,
YouTube to be able to give any kind of tutorial based on whatever kind of program that you
can
want
learn so easily. So do you feel like in the future we're going to continue, like, people are going to go more towards the creative path because they have the knowledge to?
Absolutely do. And I think that's what a lot of parents aspire to. I'm a parent. I have a 3-year-old child.
Who looks just like you.
He does. I love him so much.
How tall? He's 6'1". He's 6'1".
Oh,
At 3 years old.
Hang on. He's a little version of you, I should say.
oh my God! You have so much Coke dripping from the bottom of that.
It's great. Hey, go on.
Irrefutable.
You're in drip.
Yo, you're supposed to baby bird me a shot.
Oh,
true.
god damn.
True, but
Is that what I think it is?
I'm gonna-
Baby bird me a shot.
it's exactly
Oh,
what you think
Lord.
it is. You know what a
So
baby
you're gonna
bird.
suck that up, and you're gonna spit that into
Spit
his
it
mouth.
right
Is
in my
that a
mouth.
baby bird? Oh my
This
God.
podcast will not end without you baby birding me. I was
That has
promised.
not happened yet. And Lord have
You
mercy.
heard it here. This is the first. Anyway, go on. Parents aspiring.
We have, I feel like, evolved to a state where we don't want our children reproducing or acknowledging the mindset of anything of what is suppressive towards humankind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want acceptance. The PC generation, the third wave feminist, all of it. Like, as we might have been feminists before, like, it's just a total radical sense of acceptance. Like,
Yeah.
we want that. We want all of us to entangle with one another creatively.
Be who they are.
Yeah, be who they
'cause
are.
It is creative. Like, no matter how you look at any kind of human, everybody is creative in a sense. It might not be like art or music or anything like that, but everybody's
Within their
expressive.
own sense of self, how they express that and how they come to a creative outlet with that is totally fine. We want to nourish that. We want to nurture it, and I think that we should just love our children and really embrace them. Like my kid's 3 years old. He's a total fucking maniac. I love him to death, but he's a fucking psychotic human being. I think that's how we're born.
Yeah.
I think that as a child, we're unrestricted. I don't want to inhibit that at all.
Yeah.
I want to embrace it. I want
Right.
to love it.
feel that.
I want to cherish it because that sense of imagination and pure unrestricted analysis towards the world without any sense of knowing. He doesn't know shit about the world.
No.
He's completely ignorant,
Right.
but he has his own opinion
Yeah.
and he states it. I fucking coagulate that. I'm like, let's bring it together. Okay, you've got this idea. I'm gonna elaborate on that. Okay, you think that your babysitter is this or that? Like you've got this idea about these other people that are now being involved in your life. Cool. Like you're amazing for that. Like I think that we as a generation were repressed in that sense. I think that we were shut down because we were set on a bias of good and bad.
Yeah.
We were set in the
It was
age.
just a different time. They didn't
Yeah,
have the technology. Like,
it was
we
an
just
age-
grew up different than our parents.
Exactly, it was the age before Aquarius.
Yeah.
It was a idea that we had to be a certain way
Right.
to fall in line. It's amazing what we can do for our children these days.
Yeah.
Because we know those things. Because we know when we have the sense of heart of what creativity is. And to be able to raise one that has no sense of expectation or God or anything that sets them back in the world. To see that full left brain, right brain kind of relationship that really falls in line with each other because it was supposed to work that way in the first place.
Yeah.
Thousands of years back, we decided, hey, the brain works amazing. Let's fucking restrict it that it can be what we want it to
It
be.
only took a couple
Go to
thousand
church.
of years, and then here we are.
But
And
if I could throw a curveball and toss it back to a topic we haven't covered in a minute with AI and universal basic income, that's kind of one of the pros for that is that if everything is automated and we don't have to worry about 9-to-5s or like doing something you don't want to do, we can explore.
Creativity. And
Just what it means to be human.
And I'll play the role of Republican. Well, not to like push that side. We don't side with. Sorry.
Too edgy.
What I mean
Too
is
edgy.
what I mean is I feel like a lot of what the older generation or Republican Party thinks about that is that there are people who are lazy and they would abuse the system and do absolutely nothing and not be creative and be pieces of shit.
it's a worry.
Which I think
fear.
that there are people
That's-
that would do that.
That's fine.
There are many of those.
If people are given access to creativity and are giving guidelines on how to explore that very easily without a lot of effort, because some people don't like putting forth a lot of effort into something, I feel like most people do want to be creative.
See, this is a
Naturally.
tough question because going off the humans' history and the things we like to do, I don't know if we have free reign to do whatever, that exploring creativity would be the first option.
What do you think would be the first option?
Rape and pillage.
I don't feel like that will
War.
be the ability to explore.
But no.
But I feel like that is based off of religion. So if we're a little bit more intelligent than, like a little
Not
bit
all
more
of them.
understanding of the world, then we would be more
You think that's what war is based off?
a lot of
100%
religion
religion?
and stuff. Yeah.
I've been bamboozled.
I feel like
A lot of it was for sure.
yeah, just in the past, and it was based off of like different views. But if we go and tying back into acceptability and stuff and understanding that people have different views,
Damn, I
then
just had another. I'm sorry, I had another thought there.
well, just that with war wouldn't be as because we would be more accepting of everybody's. This is long term future, like not anytime soon. I'm just saying through evolution, as I feel like the world is going now, we would tie into accepting. So wars wouldn't necessarily be based off of your views are different than mine, we have to attack.
Okay, that was my thought. Is that what if it's just the human nature, the human condition, to want to just kill each other?
I think that's pretty fucking natural.
Like you're on a team.
Well, that's
human.
the tribal
Tribal mentality.
But I feel like it's more based off of you're kind of on a team in a sense of like we're on a team of local musicians, metal, like we're all kind of on the same team and we want to see our team succeed in that sense. Whereas like I feel like that's where people are based off of like fuck pop music, like metal's the only cool thing, like if you don't listen to my genre then you're a pussy.
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
I definitely think it's still a thing. But anyway,
Really?
What I'm saying is like I think that we form our groups, but it doesn't have to be necessarily violent. You're just in that group.
Well, I think literally statistically, I think violence is on a downward path. But I don't know. If humans are free to do essentially whatever.
It's not ever really been about violence. Like when it comes to like the shows and like the energy that's felt during those shows.
Mm-hmm.
If your band is heavier, sure, you might gain a more energetic crowd reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the crowd, yeah.
But it's not necessarily based on your band being more violent and you getting a more violent show reaction.
Right.
No, definitely. I was thinking more war.
He's talking about like war and everything, not like based.
But that's
off the shows
also
exactly.
that's also a good analogy because I mean when you're at a show and that breakdown hits, dude, it's
when
like
that breakdown
war.
hits.
No disrespect to anybody who's been in war because I don't know, but it seems like war at times.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, it's so hard to speculate and judge.
Yeah, I mean we can't really say.
But I feel like humans are kind. Like honestly, I feel like most of the people you meet are good people.
No, nowadays, yeah.
I've always thought the best of people. Like I've stopped on the side of the road multiple times to help people because I don't feel fear because I feel like
multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's that small chance that they're a bad person, but the chance is so small. Like statistically, I think I'm okay. And I just feel like most people are, just out to figure out what their life meaning is. Whether it's through religion or music or anything like that. Everybody's just trying to kind of find a way.
That's fucking it right there, man.
And so I don't think that we would ever revert back to violence. That's just my belief. I don't.
Unless aliens come here.
We would get fucking destroyed.
Everyone's gonna be violent.
Where's your hometown spirit? Come on.
Well, I'm just saying if they travel here, we probably
okay. We've divulged a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's get back.
Let me
to
pull
Zach
it back to
and
you.
Do some crazy
shit. I wanted to talk about now that you got some brews in you, or some whiskey in you. The
sweating.
The
Shout out,
Photoshop
Bullet.
process, like how you work with Photoshop and just kind of that. I'm really interested in hearing that because I'm
glad you asked that because I have a really stupid question that you might answer.
Yeah, so just like go into like how you start to kind of how you finish. Whether it's I don't know if you use Illustrator or any of that. That's my dog upstairs.
Noctis.
God damn it.
Woo. It really depends based on the project. What's offered, what information is given for me to guide from. If it's a very conceptual surrealism album, I'll Google the fuck out of it. I'll spend hours trying to find something that resonates with what that person is trying to do. I'll each character, each background piece, I'll really make sure that that's something that is gonna come to a full composite at the end piece when it comes to the album creation or not. Design wise, usually I'll want to start off hand drawn. If it's an album cover that I want to work on, then I'll try to gain an idea for what they want, then draw my own idea. And then I'll compare that to other ideas that are online and see what people have also done to see like where their creativity has taken them. But it's not so much about replication more than it is like
Fitting the vibe.
yeah, exactly. Like I just try to gain an understanding of what other people have done for that exact same resonance that I felt within what was requested of me.
So when you take the hand drawn and then you import it into Photoshop, is that where you usually start?
Yeah.
Do you like pen tool, like, and trace around it, or how do you?
Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. I'll take that into Illustrator. I'll live trace it.
Do you have like a pad where you can actually?
Yeah, I've got a Surface Pro.
Nice.
I typically try to draw on that. I haven't been able to in the past few months because my toddler had broken it.
Ooh,
He threw it off the bed.
that'll do it.
Yep. It cracked the screen
Damn,
completely.
those aren't cheap.
No, it's like a $400 or $500 fix.
Damn.
I'd get rid of the kid. No, I'm just kidding.
Seriously, in comparison to the cost, it might be worth it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
If he were to continue doing that, then yeah.
Just every time you buy something, it's just like.
straight out the box, just throws it on the ground.
You
So-
you kind of have to weigh the cost as a parent. Like maybe
Damn, this is a whole nother
YouTube or Netflix, or whatever this kid wants to watch, is not worth it.
Yeah. But okay, so
yeah.
you trace an Illustrator, that's cool, and then once you get, because I think that's how when I did like our album artwork, I started in Illustrator, then I took it to Photoshop.
Started in Illustrator, no hand drawing.
Right.
We sketched up
yeah,
some ideas.
Cody
but-
Church, our other roommate.
Cody Church, your guitarist. I had some ideas too.
Yeah, but
We sketched up some shit.
For the EP artwork was what Cody drew, and then I put it in Illustrator. I penciled
Wait,
it.
I don't think I even knew that.
Yeah. You didn't know Cody drew our EP artwork?
No, I don't recall this.
But so I
sorry,
started in
continue.
Illustrator, and then I took it to Photoshop and added in like the colors, and then I put it in After Effects, and that's where I added like a lot of depth because I just knew After Effects a little bit better. So for you trace in Illustrator, and then what do you do?
Bring it back into Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of do all my coloring and shading and pretty much everything in Photoshop.
Really?
Yeah, what's the difference between Illustrator? Okay, it's probably a stupid question. The difference between Illustrator and Photoshop.
Illustrator primarily works in vector. So
Okay.
if I'm
More like logos and shit, right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Feeling it.
Hanging in there.
So Zach made us get this bullet.
Bullier.
Bullier.
You said something weird.
I said bullier.
I thought you said Oye or something like that. I was like,
Bullet
oh,
whiskey. And so it's been a wild ride so far.
it's catching up to him.
We finished the bottle though.
You did well.
But yeah, so Illustrator is for logos primarily. You do logos in Illustrator. And then Photoshop is for just like when you go into like the really graphic design.
Yes.
That's cool.
You got it.
Perfect knowledge. All right.
Maybe we should wrap her up. and
Yeah,
leave
we're going to
that.
wrap her up. We're flashing anyway.
Damn.
So, Archive 26, thank you so much for coming on. That's great. We'll get you back. We'll get them sober.
Hopefully
we'll have
survive.
More, we'll have more awesome conversations because there's definitely a lot more
Yeah, for
we can
real.
dive into.
Most of.
And you will probably be seeing him doing some artwork for Archeons soon, maybe even the Archive. So hopefully both.
Ooh, hell yeah.
That's coming soon. All right, Archive 26. We out.
Look at this new Hard Reset cover.
Shout out. Oh, is this like one of the latest works?
Yeah, it's the EP that's not come out yet.
Can you send that to me and I'll put it in the video?
Absolutely
most
not.
No.
No, he's legally.
When's it
Secret.
When's it releasing?
Subliminal information.
Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon for notifications. If you want to take it a step further, we got a Patreon page. Help videos like this keep coming. Thanks, guys.